This week's Parsha is called Parshat Terumah, and it follows the whole exodus from Egypt. It follows the revelation of God at Mount Sinai, and now the people are told to contribute to building a Mishkan, to building a tabernacle. So I want to take us back to creation. When God created the world, God withdrew, so to speak. All that existed before the creation of the world was God. There was only God that existed in the world. This is what our tradition teaches. There was nothing but God. And in order to create the universe, in order to create everything that we know of in creation, God had to, so to speak, withdraw and, so to speak, hide, such that it could be a space within which creation could exist. Into that space, so to speak, was all of the universe. And the final creation was mankind, and mankind was placed into the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was a place where God and mankind would have an intimate relationship. However, man chose to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which God had said don't eat from, and because of they ate from that tree, they were exiled from the garden. They were unable to return back into the garden, and what guarded the gates of Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, we learn, is two cherubs. There were two cherubs stationed at the gates, preventing Adam and Eve from getting back into the garden where they could have an intimate relationship with God, where they could stroll in the garden, so to speak, intimately in relationship to God. They were exiled. They could not return because of these two cherubs. We then learn about Noah, we learn about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, we learn about the Jewish people being enslaved in Egypt, we learn about them coming out of Egypt, going into the desert through the Red Sea, we learn about them coming to Mount Sinai, having a revelation of God at Mount Sinai. The revelation of God at Mount Sinai was akin to the relationship we had in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, but it was so powerful. God pulled back the veil, so to speak, and revealed God's light into the world such that we couldn't exist. It was too much for us. And we said to Moses, you go up, get the Torah for us, come bring it back down. We can't have that relationship with God. It's too much for us. And so then last week we had Parshas Mishpatim, where we learned about some of the laws of what's contained in the Torah of how to live our lives. And now we're learning about creating a Mishkan, creating a tabernacle, creating a place for God to exist in our world. In the beginning of time, God created a place for us to exist in God's world. And now we're learning about our way in which we are given the capacity and the gift of being able to create a place in our world for God to exist. So we have many, 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 many Torah portions devoted to understanding how to build this tabernacle, what the specifications are, what goes into it, all the different objects that are in it. This week's Torah portion, we introduced the idea of contributing to this structure. The people are asked to contribute voluntarily. There are two obligatory offerings that they have to bring, the contributions that they have to bring, and then there's a voluntary contribution. Bring with your heart, bring with your soul, bring with your resources. There are acacia wood that's brought, there's copper, there's gold, there's silver, there's animal hides, there's all sorts of things that the people have, the things that are going on the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, of the high priest. All of these materials we get to willingly give. So now we talk about giving and what giving is. Giving is an expression of desire to be part of, in a relationship to the person to whom we're giving. When we give to our friends, when we give to our parents, when we give to our children, we give to them because we want to be in relationship with them, because we love them. We love to whom we give. We who are blessed to be parents, we give to our children, we keep giving to our children, we keep giving to our children. We love them so much. We want to keep giving to them. And as we give to them, we love them more. So too, God says, bring your heart, bring your contributions, give what you want to building this tabernacle, and I will reside among you. And the people brought, and they contributed, and they built, and they were invested, and they put their all into bringing these resources into the tabernacle to create the Mishkan, this structure. And then God says, I will exist among you. And God is going to exist in the Mishkan. We learn about that later. He's also going to exist within our hearts. We have to open up our hearts and want that relationship. God will reside among you, meaning in the tabernacle, but also inside of us. If we open ourselves up, there's a saying, a Jewish saying that says, where is God? Wherever you let him in. If we open ourselves up, we let God in. So the first thing we learn about in this week's Torah portion is the contributions that the people brought. They brought all their contributions. They were very eager to bring. They wanted to be involved. They were invested in the building of this tabernacle. They wanted a relationship with God. They wanted God in their midst. And we also learn about the building of the Aron, the holy ark of the covenant. And we learned that it's made of gold on the outside, gold on the inside, and then in between is acacia wood. And acacia wood is shittim in Hebrew. And it's an acronym for shalom, for peace, for tova, for goodness, for Yeshua, which is salvation, and mechila, which is forgiveness. So we have on the outside this beautiful gold that shines, and hopefully it's reflective of what's on the inside that was also shining and pure and holy. But on the inside is this wood that is a malleable structure that's growing, that's alive, that isn't finished, that still has movement to it, unlike the metal of gold. And so too, our hearts have an outside and an inside, and then a growth of peace, a growth of goodness, a growth of salvation, and a growth of forgiveness as we continue to mature and grow in our lives. So too, this little Aron, the Aron which housed the tablets of stone, that Moses comes down, the broken ones, the whole ones, and the written Torah scroll that Moses writes, that all goes inside of the Ark of the Covenant. And on top of it are two cherubs. And these are two angel-like, child-like, angel-like cherubs that sit atop the Ark of the Covenant. And they spread out their wings, and the two angels face each other, and they face down because they're looking down at the Torah. They're looking down at what's the embodiment of God's word in the world, the wisdom that God is imparting to us for how to live our lives. That's what these cherubs are looking up to. And maybe the cherubs are a boy and a girl, or maybe they're two boys, or maybe they're two girls, or maybe they're Adam and Eve. It doesn't matter. What it means is that they're children. They're pure, they're holy, they're full of passion, they're full of light, they're full of joy, they're full of desire, they're full of connection, they're full of openness and open-heartedness. So too, we have to be like that. We have to be like those angels on top of the ark. And unlike the cherubs that were stationed at the Garden of Eden that prevented Adam and Eve from getting back into the Garden of Eden, they were not able to go back. But these cherubs are ushering the Jewish people back into a Garden of Eden-like experience where we can stroll with God and be intimately related to God. How? By letting God in, by building, by putting our efforts in, by putting our best foot forward, by yearning to have a relationship with God. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here for. And we can find it in our holy places. We can find it in our holy temple here on Mount Moriah. I can see it from this window where I'm in Jerusalem. You can see Har Moriah from here. This is the place where heaven and earth kiss. This is a holy place. There's more divine presence present in this place than other places. So too, the Mishkan, the tabernacle that the Jewish people traveled with, was a holy place. So too, the tabernacle, when it came into Israel and it went into Shiloh and it was stationed in Shiloh before it came to Jerusalem, was a holy place. Our synagogues are holy places. Our heart is a holy place. The space between people is a holy place. The way in which we have holy times, we have the Sabbath and the holidays, holy times where we bring holiness into the world. We're in the month of Adar. Today is the month of Adar, wishing everybody a month of Adar Tova, holy, wonderful, happy, laughter-filled month of Adar. We get 2 months of Adar this year. But this is a new month where we increase our joy. And joy comes from that connection to God. And joy comes from putting our efforts in and putting our work in and feeling like we're building something. And what is it we're building? What is it that the Jewish people were asked to do in the desert? They were asked to contribute and build, quote unquote, a home for God in this world. And that's what we're here to do too. Create a home for God in this world. We can do it physically. We can do it spiritually. We can do it through our prayers. We can do it through our interactions with each other. We can do it through many different ways, through the goodnesses that we do in this world. We're bringing godliness into the world, and we get to close the circuit. We get to be part of that. So at the end of the day, we don't take anything with us. What we take with us is what we have given away. I'll say that again. What we take with us is what we have given away. God gives us the opportunity to use our resources to give it away, to give it to the poor, to give it to the needy, to do good for others, to be kind to others. And that's what we take with us into the next world. We take our good name and that which we have given away.